Hello, it's Sunday afternoon. How are we doing this weekend? Hopefully well. Mine has been very good. Been an exciting week altogether, to be honest. Day 421. Here we go. Lots and lots and lots of QoS labs. First, just a little bit. This will be just a vlog today, folks. No labbing on stream. But man, a lot has happened this week, and the culture, right? Falcon Heavy launch. First successful commercial launch. Star Wars trailer came out. Tiger Woods wins the Masters. Oh, disk space. I'm getting that. I know why that is. I do need to fix that. And Game of Thrones is coming out tonight. So man, just a lot of crazy cultural stuff going on, right? I can't remember when this much has happened, like in the same week. But it's been fun. And a lot is happening in QoS as well. Hey, Adam from the future. How are you? And a network engineer. Folks, I'm doing well, man. I feel like I'm making such good progress on QoS. Like I labbed pretty hard yesterday and today. And a lot of it was my own labs. So I took a use case. And decided, okay, I need to figure out how to make this work. Good, chilling on some gin and juice. All right, love that song, by the way. One of my favorite retro or old school rap songs. Yeah, man. So I decided, okay, there's a couple scenarios that I need to figure out how to do, and I think this is going to help me break through in the concepts. And sure enough, it did. It started back a few days ago with me deciding, okay, I really need to learn how this iPerf tool works. And at some point I may go forward with like Ostinato as well. I have actually set up that VM in EvenG before. I just haven't used it that much. But I'm like, okay, I need to figure out what's happening. So it took me like a day and a half to really nail down kind of how that little iPerf tool works. It's not the most sophisticated tool, but it gets the job done for labbing purposes. And then I'm like, okay, I need, if I don't have a measuring stick, how am I going to tell if I'm making the right cuts, I'm just guessing. And the INE workbook has some labs, has some examples, it has some ways to test. But I really got that idea from networklessons.com and the lessons there. And I still didn't really understand it until I went through this process, right? I was like, okay, first I need to establish a baseline of throughput between two links using iPerf. That's basically what I did to start. I'm like, okay, and it's interesting because this, I lab in software. It's not real circuit, they aren't real copper connections being made. And transmits using ASICs. So obviously you can't expect iPerf to work like it might appear in the real world, right? But what I found is that in general, with no other traffic between two routers, let's say these are iOS V routers, the viral images, and you just hook one router to another with a single gigabit interface, and basically what's happening here, this is CPU working. Right? Hey, subscribe for 2 months. A network engineer, thank you very much for that sub. I do appreciate it. Again, thank you for the support. Thank you for being a beast in the channel. I appreciate it. Awesome. Much love, much support. Always appreciate it, my friend. Thank you for supporting the Land Tamer stream. And at some point, we are going to I'm trying to think what my next little project is for the stream. It might be actually a computer, like a separate streaming computer. Because I've got the mic, I've got the light, which, by the way, I've tried a new, I forget what the filter is called. There's a special name for it. This ring light came with 2 filters. This is like the red one, and it's not as good. So I'm going to switch back to the white one, even though it's brighter. But yeah, the next stream enhancement will probably be a new streaming computer so that I can have lab and stream and do a video feed, something like that. But Always plans, always plans. But yeah, I did. So if you connect two routers with a single interface and you put iPerf on both ends and you just run TCP and you just say, okay, default settings, essentially what it will report is about 1.5 megabits per second. Granted, it probably could push more than that if I tweaked it some more, but I thought, you know what, that's a good starting point. And the output was confusing me because with iPerf, you have the sending side and what it thinks the speed is, and the receiving side. The receiving side is the side that you want to measure against when you're doing QoS changes, right? Hey, Netizen47, good to see you this Sunday. Hope your weekend's going well. Mine has been great, man. Mine has been great. Yeah, so what I found is, all right, I got 1.5 megabits per second. I first started doing some labs trying to tweak with the shaping and the policing at 100 meg. And obviously when the CPU is only really going to push about 1.5, that wasn't getting me anywhere. So I kind of got ahead of myself. I didn't do a baseline first, which is always the biggest mistake in networking performance monitoring, right? Baseline first. So baseline was about 1.5. And I'm like, okay, well, what we'll do is we'll do some experiments at like 100K. So what I did is, let's see, let me pull up draw.io. This was like yesterday, and I did not lab on stream yesterday, just because, partly because the Masters was on, to be honest, and I was watching it while labbing, you know, kind of going back and forth. But also, I wanted to lab I wanted to lab a proof of concept for a scenario at my work network, and I wanted to use like real addressing, just because that was going to be easier to sort of build in my mind and faster to get the scenario built. And obviously, I can't show that on stream, so those are the two main reasons, right? But let's just say you have. So I'd sort of gotten ahead of myself, and I said, all right, so we're going to get two routers, right? We've established the baseline is about 1.5 megabits per second. That's about what it will push through, even though it's a gigabit interface, right? This is software. So the other thing, and I have a limited PC that I'm using this on. So then I said, okay, well, let me just confirm, and I had to do this for myself. Like, I've done labs, I've seen policing work, but really until you see it with a tool that measures your bandwidth, I don't know, it just really helped me to use iPerf and actually see it happen. It just made it help to stick much more. So then I put policing here. Like, all right, first step, let's police at like 50K, 50 kilobits per second here. So I did that, and sure enough, iPerf started reporting 50 kilobits per second throughput. So that was good. Then I said, okay, also, here's the thing with iPerf is it does look for acknowledgements. Of course, it's using TCP, right? And when it doesn't get back acknowledgements, what will happen is you'll see the client side will finish with the test. I'll usually do 10-second tests. The client side would finish, but the server side would never report, never give like a throughput report when I did policing only, which makes sense, right? It's dropping packets here, and it's never like getting the, you know, all the connection's not terminating properly. So we policed here at 50, and then I'm like, okay, well, let me go ahead and shape over here at 50, and everything returned to work swimmingly, and I got, you know, 50-50 on both sides pretty much. The thing about it is iPerf client will always report a little higher because it's only concerned about getting the packet sent. what speed is it able to send it when the server is reporting sort of the overall latency? Because you have different types of delay on transmission, right? There are a lot of different categories of delay. There's propagation, and that's basically from it to get to one end of the wire to the other. There is router transmission delay, so the time it takes to process the packet before it puts it into an output queue. There is serialization delay, the time it takes for the router to actually take the software queue, and serialize or encode the bits to put on the wire. So this side, the client is going to report higher than, so the server side is what you want to pay attention to, right? And this worked great. All right, now I can really play because I've got shaping working, I've got policing working, and I can verify it using iPerf. I was happy. Then I started playing with some concepts, some proof of concepts I wanted to do with subinterfaces. And it was really cool. Like I was able to create subinterfaces here and apply a parent shaping policy and also a queuing policy where I wanted to favor one subinterface over the other, one type of traffic over another. And I also did these pings. I started pinging with an interval of like 0.2 seconds, 0.2 milliseconds. In other words, I was flooding the link. I had to do that to sort of create congestion, because if you don't create congestion, remember, a lot of these QoS functions will never come into play, like the queuing, until there's contention, right? Like when you do bandwidth reservations, there's no need to reserve bandwidth for any queues if all the queues are able to be serviced right away. But when there's contention, and that was easy to do, so it was cool. I set up like 2 iPerf servers over here, and I would send traffic down both subinterfaces. One, I wrote a bash script to actually start them pretty much simultaneously and run them concurrently. And then I would run a ping flood, and it was really cool. I got my little lab like all tricked out and doing exactly what I wanted it to do. And I was able to finish the proof of concept and get a lot of understanding in the meantime. That is I just have a question regarding my career. Please answer whenever you can. Sure. Do what I can. So then today I was like, okay, I got a lot of confidence now. I'm really starting to feel, now policing, I need some work on. The police burst rate, and kind of how that works in comparison to shaping, but like configuring shaping, configuring queuing, even configuring priority queuing, I'm feeling much more confident on that and faster. Like there are a few little caveats you have to be aware of. Like one mistake I was making a lot is I would do a class map, class HTTP, right? And then I would get it, and then I would define, match, access, group, name, ACL, HTTP, all fine and good. Then I would get to the policy map, and I would type class map here. And when you do that, you're supposed to type class space class HTTP. If you type class -map, obviously it takes you basically back to here into class map configuration mode. I kept doing that, and finally I think broke myself of that habit. Also, I would do match IP access group name, and I had to get out of the habit of that too. That's all about speed, right? So, and that is in 47. Is Cisco certification alone enough to get a job, or do you need any bachelor's degree? Do companies expect other qualification? You know what? I'll do a takeaway on that for an upcoming vlog. Let me think about that one. Yeah, I faced the whole bachelor's degree question years ago, it was not because of it was not because I was on an engineering track. Well, I sort of was, but I was switching over to management. And I'm not doing that now. I decided that that wasn't for me. But after I got my degree and went through a management job, so that was the reason I did that. Yeah, I guess it really depends. I would say if you ask most others today, they would say that for a network or cloud engineering position, that you don't necessarily have to have a bachelor's degree. Um, but it depends on which company you want to work for and what the arc of your career is going to be. Because bachelor's degree is kind of thing you want to get out of the way. You want, if you're going to do it when you're younger, when you have fewer responsibilities. It's a major commitment, and it would take 4 years, most likely. So um, that's my short answer. I will try to do another vlog about that. Maybe Adam from the Future too. You have some thoughts on that as well. By the way, folks, you're not following Adam from the Future, friend him here, and definitely check out his stream. This is my list of network streamers. But yeah, that it's hard. Every case is different, right? I actually got a lot out of going and getting a business degree that I hope to use at some point in starting a business in the network engineering field. So I had reasons to do it. I recently paid. I don't know if you saw my post on Twitter. I think it was. I recently paid it off. This is from years ago. I don't even know how many. I have to sit and figure it out, but yeah, it's a big expense depending. You might be at an employer that will, now if you're at an employer that will essentially pay for you to get a bachelor's degree, think about it, because there are other things that you learn. It really helps expand base knowledge about a lot of different things that are important in life and in business. Depending on what that bachelor's degree is. I got mine in business management, information technology. So we studied, databases, coding, programming, project management, statistics, macroeconomics, philosophy. I mean, English, math. Got into some, there's a lot of good topics to learn in general that I think complement really well a career in IT. Especially going forward, I think we'll find that as the cloud continues to emerge and specialties tend to flatten a little bit, I think you'll be expected to have a broader base of knowledge on IT topics. Adam from the Future says, I'd suggest try U for UDP. That's so you can max out the bandwidth iPerf. Just be cautious with it, as it'd be really CPU intensive. Yeah, I actually started out with that. And I don't know, it may be my PC, Adam, but I got unpredictable results, unexpected results. So granted, using TCP, obviously there's more overhead. But the problem I think that I was getting most of all is not on the client side, but on the server side, and getting an actual bandwidth reading. So I wasn't able to really read the meter that well on the server side when using the -U. Great suggestion though. And in some, depending on your computer, your lab, your image, it may be the way to go. Desmond 47, I'm actually doing engineering now. I'm finding it hard to complete my papers, but I'm very confident on my Cisco certs. Gotcha. Yeah, it's a lot of work. I tell you, it was like working two jobs for me, because I got my degree. I decided not to do it at the age of 18, which I wish I would have done it then. I did it later in life after I was already a network manager and had responsibilities at work. I was on call. I was management on call, and I also had I had a lot of papers to write. I mean, a lot of papers to write. and we had team projects. Yeah, it was a lot, but I'm glad I did it then and don't have to do it now. And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed school. I'm a nerd, so like I soaked up all that I could. I really enjoyed the classes, most of them. So yeah, hopefully that helps out. But that's really all I have today, folks. I have gone through. So what I did, I went back and did the I&E work labs for QoS section. I started back at the beginning, and I knocked off like 4 of them this morning without a lot of problems. And where I encountered problems, I created new flashcards. I probably created 10 new flashcards today on some of the inner details of QoS. For example, in normal QoS or iOS, you get one priority queue. Even though you can assign priorities to different classes, like with class-based weighted fair queuing without priority queuing, each class that you assign a bandwidth to, for example, it gets its own queue. Not the case with priority queuing. What priority queuing it does is it allows you to assign multiple classes into that priority queue and assign bandwidth to them. But that's just ensuring within that queue that one flow doesn't basically overtake another. And that's why the policer is there too. And the policer, I think, by default, will let you burst up to 20%. Anyway, good stuff. Very good stuff. So that's all I got tonight, folks. The rest of the evening, I may do some more labs. I have to do some things here around the house and to prepare for tomorrow and next week. And I have to do my flashcard, my Anki cards. I probably have, like, I've been entering cards, but not reviewing cards much this weekend. So I have, about 47 to go over. I did some yesterday, but not all of them. So that's why I'm a little behind. So yeah, that's what we got going on. Thanks for stopping in, folks. Thanks for your support of the stream. Tomorrow I'll become an ISP network engineer. More jobs, really? Well, congrats, network engineer. That's awesome. Just curious, is it like one of the big, like 5 ISPs? Is it a rural ISP? Is it a like, what do they call those? They have different tiers, right? I'm just curious, man. But that's great. It's not a big one, but it's growing. Receive lots of funding from you. Okay, awesome, man. That is great. 126 people or so at the moment. So the great thing about that is, one thing I always enjoy about going into a new job is, who am I going to meet? Like, I'm so looking forward to learning from other engineers. Like, I hope at your new job to have some really, like, all-star sort of engineers that you can learn from. Even though I'm sure you're an all-star engineer and you can teach them as well, but it's that exchange. All CCIEs there. Oh, that is awesome, man. That is awesome. Well, that's great. Okay, and congrats, network engineer. And hopefully you can share some of your stories or, things with us. That'll be really cool. I always love when people, they tell me that they've got a new job, they passed their cert, something of that nature. I'm being hired for my Linux know-how. They're going to train me as there. Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. Linux is, the importance of Linux has not diminished at all. As a matter of fact, over the years, there have been kind of lulls, but it's amazing, like in Azure, how much Linux there is. Not only just deploying traditional Linux, but, like clusters, Kubernetes, and even the Azure Cloud Shell, like the Azure command line, is modeled after the Linux Bash CLI. I mean, it's called Azure CLI. And Microsoft is totally on board with Linux, and that's great. The Linux know-how is definitely paying off for you. I'm glad. I'm trying to stay on top of mine as well. So Good luck tomorrow. Wish you the best. Thanks for hanging out with us today, guys. Appreciate hanging out for the vlog. Maybe tomorrow. I'm not sure what's on board tomorrow. Probably an INE QoS lab because I'm so ready to knock out the rest of those labs. Hey, Cigar Devil. Y'all have a great rest of your weekend. Thanks for stopping by the Land Tamer stream. You can follow me, of course, on Twitter, Instagram, here on Twitch, and also on YouTube. So, and we'll see you all on an ongoing basis over in the Discord channel. Have a great night, folks, or morning, depending on where you're at. And we'll see you back here tomorrow, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern, on the Land Tamer stream.